Guys, just stay with me on this one. I feel like this might get a little bit confusing, but just stay with me. It will all make sense in the end. All right, I'm gonna do a quick recap. I'm really here to give you guys an update on how many eggs were retrieved on my third egg retrieval, because I just realized the other day I never gave an update about the number and how many made it to be frozen. But before that, oh my gosh, I actually filmed this video already, and I think the other video would have been so much better and so much more informative. So I'll see what I can get out. I've actually done a couple of other videos, but you wouldn't believe it. The weirdest stuff happens to me. Not weird, but I'm just not very tech savvy, and I don't even know how this happened, but the camera the whole time was filming and it was on mute, and which is really frustrating because I got out a lot of information and so much I wanted to say. So I'm gonna do my best at recapping and going over all the details. I'll talk about how many eggs were retrieved and then how many formed an embryo and then made it to day 5 and day 6. Just quickly, I'm just gonna explain to you guys before this video goes on. If you don't know anything about IVF and egg retrievals, it might be a little bit confusing. So let me just explain. When you have an egg retrieval, it's an egg, it's not yet an embryo, okay? Only embryos that make it, well, your clinic might freeze day 3 embryos or do fresh transfers of day 3 embryos. But in my situation and the clinic that I've gone to, the embryos need to make it to day 5 and day 6 to be frozen, okay? An egg is retrieved. Overnight, it becomes, if it's fertilized, it becomes an embryo. Then the cells have to split each day into a certain number and multiply. And then I think the best embryos are the hatching ones at the end. I don't have a picture, but here's a picture off Google of what a hatching embryo looks like. Just in case you're confused, because some people think that you just get embryos retrieved. But the smart girls, get their eggs frozen, and then when they meet someone in the future, they can use their eggs, all right? If you have embryos, it means they were created with sperm. So if that was with an X, in my situation, you can't use those embryos. If it was with a donor conception, and they've signed them away to you, then you're fine. Yeah, it's just a really big story, all of this IVF stuff, and that's why I talk about it a lot. So yeah, if you're new to all this stuff, you can go back. I've got heaps of videos on all this fertility business. Okay, let's talk about how many eggs were retrieved. Back when I shared the video about my 3rd round of IVF, when I say 3rd round, was it my 3rd round or was it my 4th round? That might have been my 4th round, but it was my 3rd egg retrieval. Now, there's been lots of confusion, and a lot of people have been saying, if you've got 7 frozen embryos here, why are you doing another egg retrieval? Why can't you use those? The 7 frozen embryos here, they are getting disregarded. I can't use them because they were with somebody else. So if you don't use a donor and you use a partner, you technically don't own them. And then I know it's crazy because it's come from my body and my body made them, but I can't use them. So they're gonna get disregarded. Then I've got the 10 in Bulgaria, which is just way too complicated. 10 frozen in Bulgaria, they're still frozen. They would have been I don't know why I'm going quiet, like I'm telling you a secret, but they would have been the most beautiful babies. Oh my gosh. The donor was gorgeous. This egg retrieval, now I've ended up with another 2 less. So I did my first egg retrieval 36 years old, then I did one at 37, then I'm now 39. So the girls that are very safe and a really good way to do it is to just do an egg retrieval and just freeze your eggs. I saw an article, I can't remember what actress it was, but she had gone through an egg retrieval and she froze embryos with an ex of hers. Well, they were together and then they broke up, and basically like what happened with me, yeah, you can't use them. Yeah, it's a lot to put your body through. Yeah, I think that's a hard part about disposing of embryos, is like all the stuff that you've put your body through to make those embryos, all the injections and the surgery. Whereas guys just have to rock up to a clinic and come in a cup, okay? Like that's all they have to do. And at most, they might feel a little bit uncomfortable walking into the clinic and saying hi to the lady, like, or whoever's there on the desk. Like it's nothing. It's not surgery or anything. The female has to go through a lot in order to retrieve those eggs. Where was I? It just also goes to show, even though you can take all of the vitamins and you can live a really healthy lifestyle, each time I've done an egg retrieval, I've ended up with 2 less embryos to freeze each time. And people were confused about me saying on an Instagram post that I've ended up with 2 less each time, because I'm talking about the total number that I froze at the beginning. When I woke up from my egg retrieval, I was told they'd retrieved 17 eggs. I'm gonna try to make this so it's not confusing, but I was basically still nervous even though I retrieved 17, because from my history and from what I've been through, I know that from the eggs that are retrieved, normally it's about 50% that make it through to the freeze. So the lesser number retrieved, the lesser number that will be frozen. That night or straight after your retrieval, they put the sperm together and the eggs and they see how many fertilize. Then the next day you get a call from the embryologist and they tell you how many fertilized. So I think the next day, 16 of those fertilized. On day 3, you get an update. Day 4, you get an update. And it was just so, it was a hard week to get through. Also out of my control because the embryos are out of my body. There's nothing that I can do. It's not about, yeah, it's got, like I've had to do all the hard work. It's just the waiting. It got to about, I think it got to about day 4 and they said that there was, I don't know, there was only like 4. Anyway, day 5, I went into the clinic because I was gonna have a meeting with the embryologist and find out how many embryos made it. And in the morning before driving to the clinic, they said, there's 4 strong ones there. And I was so disappointed. I was so disheartened to know that I'd gone through all of that and only 4 were hanging in there. It's just so much to put your body through. It's not just the surgery and the injections, it's the 3 months of vitamins that you take. And if you're like me, there's other things that I did, which I'll quickly tell you at the end because I don't need to drag it out or make a separate video, but I'll give you some little tips and things that I do in order to create like the best embryos possible or retrieve the best, like get the best quality eggs that I can, especially for my age. And the hardest part is the older you get, the harder it is, because it doesn't matter how healthy you are. Well, it does, of course it matters, but age is a defining factor. That's why for women with fertility, we need to like get to it. Whereas men just have a lot longer for their fertility lifespan than we do. So went into the clinic on day 5. The call beforehand, they said there was only 4 hanging in there, and I was so disheartened. Got there, they told me that there was 6. 2 more had made it, and I was like, okay, all right, that's not okay. Well, to me, 6 embryos means 3 goes. I get 3 chances, because when I say 3 chances, I mean 3 transfers, because I do, how to explain it? I do transfers with 2 embryos. If it's your first round of IVF, your clinic normally, in Australia, they won't normally let you transfer 2 embryos. Overseas, they let you. And that's part of the reason why I went to Bulgaria and part of my research. They let you transfer more than 1 embryo overseas. In Australia, they don't normally, unless they just don't normally. They wait till it fails and then they'll let you. I've basically worked it out that money, statistics, chances, possibilities, like I'm better off transferring 2 embryos. So 6 embryos means I get 3 goes. My foot's going numb, wait. Then on day 6, I got the very final last call and 2 more embryos made it. That means that I've got 8 in the freezer, which I guess that's okay. But yeah, I really don't want to have to do an egg retrieval again. What happened was my first egg retrieval, now I'll explain. First egg retrieval, I had 12 frozen. I put 2 in, got 10 left. This is turning into like mathematics now. So then the second egg retrieval, I had 10 to freeze, but I used up 3 of those. And this one, I've got 8. So it's not amazing, like it's not huge numbers. It's not so much about quantity, it's more about quality of your eggs. I've just read so many women and heard of so many stories for so many people that they do 1 round of IVF and sometimes they they have 1 or 2 embryos and it works first go, and just 1 embryo, good embryo is all it takes. But unfortunately that didn't happen for me. But I think all those stories also make it a little bit hard because you get your hopes up and you kind of hopefully I could be one of those people that it works first go. As to what I do, you guys know if you've watched my other video, it takes about 90 days, like whatever you do 90 days ago, all the things that you do, 90 days to create an egg. So there's a whole lot of vitamins that I was taking. I think my fertility specialist put me on a couple of extra, pretty much all the same. So if you go back, it's an old daggy video, but if you want to know what vitamins I take for egg health, that's what I do. I do still, this isn't a good thing, but my disclaimer that I do still drink a coffee every day, sometimes 2. Don't drink alcohol, so I don't really know if that makes a difference. I've probably had about 3 glasses of red wine in the past 2 years. I don't know if that does anything, but yeah, I don't drink. Oh, really, really, really big one. And you have to research this stuff yourself because this information will not be readily available to you because this information goes against a lot of advertising of so many companies and huge industries. It's just chemicals in your house and fragrances. So all the endocrine disruptors, it's all the things that disrupt your hormones. So for women, it's your hormones is a huge part, and getting that level right so that you can create great eggs. Basically, well, no one's getting close to me anyway, so no one should be smelling me anyway, but I don't wear fragrances. I don't have chemicals in the house. If I do, it's like a very, very, very rarely used. I try not to use plastics, although I do need to replace all my plastic containers. Everything that you put on your body or spray in the air or that you use to clean, your washing powders, your shower gels, your toothpaste, your shampoo, your conditioner, your perfume, all of that, it's a hormone disruptor. So they are all chemicals and everything sinks into your bloodstream. So I don't use, like my washing powder isn't full of chemicals. Look, I kind of like the smell as well, and I understand that a lot of people want to wash their clothes so they've got like that really fragrant smell, but that's all still in your clothes and you're wearing it and it's sinking into your bloodstream. So that is really bad. So you kind of got to, it's not about just your beauty products, but also I've got a 1.5-year-old who's running around with bare feet. So I don't want to use harsh chemicals on the floor because she's walking on that. So yeah, I'm just really mindful of that. All of the endocrine disruptors. So I've been using natural products, and in past relationships, like I wouldn't say all past relationships, but definitely in the past, I've kind of been ridiculed by my partner for not wanting to inhale chemicals and not wanting to use like all that stuff in the home. And you know what, like it's my body and my choice, and each to their own. It's your personal choices. I don't regret making the choices that I've made for my health, because perhaps I wouldn't have created the eggs from my body that I did. To me, I think it's a huge difference. But when I say do your own research, I'm just saying you've got to do your own research, because it is not readily available, because it goes against all the beauty, the household, the cleaning. It goes against just so many huge corporations that are trying to market their products to you. So why would that information be open to you? If do you know what I mean? Because it's going to make you not buy their stuff, if that makes sense. So anyway, yeah, so that's about it. I've got 8 in the freezer, and that gives me 4 goes, 4 transfers. Hopefully I don't need to do 4 transfers. Well, I won't be doing 4 transfers because I honestly cannot afford it. What else? I feel like there was something else I was meant to update you guys on. Pretty sure I got this. I'm trying to think if there's anything I forgot. If there's anything that I forgot, I'll talk about it in next week's vlog. I'm doing my best at bringing out weekly vlogs. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks, but trying my best. So if this helps you or helps anyone, share this to anyone going through IVF, not just IVF, but fertility, trying to conceive. Yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys next week. Bye.